Hi there. This is the Freezer Podcast. This is Matt, Sanjay, and Fred. And we just want to give, on behalf of all of us, and as fathers, condolences out to the Valdez Scantling family on their tragic loss. We cannot say, you know, prayers and, thoughts to their families in this tough time for them. And we hope that they can stay strong and understand the Packer family is behind them and the Freezer Podcast family is behind them and the Game On Wisconsin family is behind them. So Marquez, hope all is well, and I hope you can find this as a nice little token. So, but with that being said, let's start the show. Green Bay is a small town, only 100,000 people. Those 100,000 people may be different in many ways, but there's one thing that brings them all together: the Green Bay Packers. In Titletown, the blue-collar city only knows hard work, tailgating, championships, but more importantly, they know family.
We have a saying in this town: faith, family, and the Green Bay Packers are all that you need. Sanjay and I grew up in Green Bay. You could say that we are Green Bay, or even better, the voices of Green Bay. We bring a local feel of Packer fandom to a worldwide audience.
Friendship, family, and football.
Ladies and gentlemen,
this is the Freezer Podcast. We are back. This is the Freezer Podcast, where we bring you a local feel of Packer fandom to a worldwide audience. I am Sanjay, and alongside me, like always, is Matt and Fred. And we are live here in our home studios, brought to you by Game On Wisconsin, brought to you by Lakefront Brewery, and brought to you by Our Tech Ventures. And it is a Victory Monday, even though it's like 2 days ago, but it's still nonetheless a Victory Monday because we're starting a new week, and that means we get to be so happy in celebration. I wish we could have like a dance party every time we have a victory. Like that's like in the background. We can all just like, and then you guys can dance at home. Anyway,
Yep.
We're here. It's a Victory Monday. It's against the Browns. We kicked their ass, question mark? I don't know. But we nonetheless, the W gets to go next to that score, and we move on to the next one, right? Boys, it was fun. I was at the game. You guys were handling your business with your families on Christmas, and it was quite the game to go to on a record-breaking like a Saturday, Christmas Day, and definitely there was some cheers, and then there was a lot of clenching the butts because you didn't know what kind of game we're going to finish with, and then ended with some great cheers. But your guys' thoughts overall on Christmas? How was your Christmas? How was your holidays? I mean, we still have another holiday to come in a few days here, but your Christmases, I hope it was great. Everybody out there that's joined us for this nice hour, I hope your guys' Christmas was great. Fred, why don't you kick us off? Christmas, Packers, victory.
Christmas was great, man. It was weird. It felt different this year. It didn't feel like a normal Christmas. I don't know if it was the weather. I don't know if it was because the Packers played. I don't know what it was. It just felt a little bit different, but everything was good, man. Yeah, accumulation of some weird stuff, but all in all, it was good. Everybody was happy, healthy to a degree. And it seemed like everybody, kids were happy, man. That's all that really matters. So we're good there. As far as football is concerned, man, how weird with like Thursday games and Wednesday games and Saturday games and Monday games and Tuesday games. And I feel like I still have no idea what day it is. The only thing I know is it's Monday because I'm here right now. Otherwise, I don't know what else I'd be doing.
The show
Friday was the worst day of them all because I didn't have basketball,
confused.
didn't football. There's nothing. I was just like, what the hell is happening on this?
It was such a weird concept for the last couple of days, and it still is even to this point. But I mean, we'll obviously get into the discussion of the game and kind of what we thought about it and where we're sitting right now. But yeah, I'd have to say for the long weekend of Christmas weekend, it was a success, and to leave with a W makes it even sweeter.
Yeah, I echoed the sentiments, man. It was a good Christmas. I'm glad, Sanjay, you got to sit in our seats. That was, I was very comfortable all day long knowing that a worthy person was sitting because you never know, man. You sometimes you sell them and you could get an opposing fan in there, someone who's not necessarily respectful. So I was very content knowing that you were there. So that's thank you for
I
that.
wouldn't even
Thank you
sell
for
it to
buying my
randos.
tickets.
Unless they paid me $1 million for the tickets, I'd just be like, look, I would just rather eat this and then not let anybody sit in my seats. And
I don't want the chance of having some other fan in there, but
Very
no,
good.
it's good. You know that then the game obviously ended up in a win. I didn't need the elevated blood pressure before presents and dinner, but at least it ended with a win, so I can't complain too much. But it was a good day all in all.
Absolutely. And as you know, as Fred said a lot, starting with Thursday of the new week, because obviously we just had a game on Wednesday and Tuesday, but of the previous week, but kicked it off with Thursday night football. And, you have obviously Saturday with the Colts game right after ours with the Cardinals losing. But that brings us a lot of conversation with the NFL because, you know what, we are a Packers show, but a lot of things affect the Packers and affect the NFC, which we happen to be part of, and where we go from here as the season kind of winds down and we start to figure out all these different percentages of who can win. I mean, the nice thing is that we know that we're at least in. We won the NFC North. That's already done. Now we got to just try to clinch this first round bye, but we're in. That's great. But now we get to see a little bit of the panic down below us with all the guys shuffling, and obviously the big story is going to come out of last night's debacle, or not even debacle, but just destruction of Washington football team's dignity, and what happened with the Dallas Cowboys and everything else. But let's talk about the NFC. It's a lot of wins. We had a nice little win from the Rams on the Vikings, even though did we want that? I don't know. We'll talk about that right now. But Fred, your thoughts, at least on the shakings of the standings right now, with the obviously we are number one, but then we got the Cowboys and the Rams and the Buccaneers, and then you got the Cardinals now at the 4 seed. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean the NFL in general, man, is just starting to shape out. I think we're starting to see things kind of unfold here and kind of who's the real deal. It's so ironic, when we talk about this, I bring this up all the time and I probably say it too much, but those first 6-7 games of the year, I know they're important, but man, are they really that important? Because we could go back and look at some of these teams. And the Chargers, who were so hot early on, starting to look like a concern. The Colts looked so terrible early on, now are surging. There was a lot, Arizona surging and now looking like some issues. So it's classic NFL football, and we see this every year. But yeah, when you look at the NFC, I mean, we talked a little bit last night, guys. There's a certain level of unknown, when it comes with like the Rams and the Cardinals, because you see so much talent. You've seen moments where they look really good and really unstoppable, both defensively and offensively. And then you see someone like Dallas. Dallas last night, take it with a grain of salt. It's Washington. It's Tyler Heineke. I mean, we're not looking at that and saying, wow, what a win. Wow, they really showed out. But the fact of the matter remains is that they're still trending upwards. They're still scoring a lot of points. They're doing it a lot of different ways, and their defense is making things happen. So they're definitely a team to keep an eye on. And then, of course, just Tampa. I mean, Tampa's Tampa. Until we beat Tampa, I'm not going to feel that comfortable about having to go and play Tom Brady either in Florida or in Green Bay. I don't care who you are. The guy's a winner. So it's just going to have to be something that we come up to. But the rest of the NFC in general, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody out there that I'm really that concerned about. The 49ers still have a lot of question marks. Minnesota, I think when it shit hits the fan, I think we can always take care of them. The AFC, I feel like, as weak and kind of awkward as they are, there's some sneaky little talent kind of sneaking in there and starting to trend upwards. I don't know how far it takes them. Obviously, it looks like Kansas City is hands down favorite. But Matt, we talked a little bit about it, and that Bengals team seems to be going really well. Colts are playing great football, and they're playing the kind of football that could really put a hamper on Kansas City's offense, where they run the ball, they possess the clock, they really kind of control the game. And I think that could be an issue. I know you said NFC. I got it a little bit into the AFC there, buddy. But no, I mean, there's a lot going on there. And I think the cream of the crop, for the most part, in the NFC has risen to the top. And the AFC, we're starting to find kind of a different trend.
Yeah, NFC definitely, top heavy. The interesting part about that conference is I think every team has a flaw, despite there being some really good records out there. And normally in the past, there's that one juggernaut team, whether it's in the AFC or the NFC, where it's kind of the boogeyman for everybody. Like, oh my God, you're going to have to get through that team. I don't know that there is that one. I mean, I think maybe the closest thing for Packer fans, like you've said, Fred, would be the Buccaneers, just because of the history there. And they clobbered us, last year, and obviously beat us in the title game. But in terms of like how I look at Green Bay is, place in all this is I still believe that whenever they're clicking, they're the best team in not just the NFC, but I think in the NFL. And even when they're not, they're still hyper competitive and they're able to kind of contort what they do to their opponent, and they're scrappy and they can stick around. But when you get to this time of the year, you're looking for what teams are playing their best ball, who's trending upwards, who's doing good things, and if you look at specifically the NFC, it's hard not to look at what Dallas is doing. I know people are kind of conflicted with them. They have a history of being, someone said fool's gold. I don't know whether they are or not this year, but what I do know is that they're playing really well on both sides of the ball. And they're right behind Green Bay. People kind of forget that if we were to drop a game and they keep winning, they leapfrog the Packers and go to the 1 seed. And then all of a sudden we're having to maybe travel there. Rams wise, they tried to give that game away against the Vikings. The Packers, I thought, played really well against them. I'm comfortable going and playing them, whether it's away or at home. And then, kind of how does that bottom end of the NFC round out? Like the Saints, it's like, well, they have quarterback problems now. Jimmy G might be out for the 49ers with a thumb issue and the throwing hand, so they might see Trey Lance, which they're not too confident in. So the Packers are in a great spot right now. There's not like this one team that's like steamrolling and look out. I think if they can just put a couple things together, man, they're going to be right where they want to be. But this is going to be a really interesting final 2 weeks of the season to see how this all kind of shakes out.
I want to pose this question to you because you're saying that we are in a great spot. Are we? Let me just throw something at you before Fred jumps right in, because I know he's going to say some kind of like positive spin on this.
Realistic.
Yeah.
There you go.
I see the Cowboys trending upwards in the sense of getting guys back, getting guys younger and faster. And it seems like, they're starting to figure out their scheme and their identity. I think that's the cliche thing about football. What's your identity, right?
Yeah.
And then you look at, Tampa Bay, who's taken a step back for a second. Like people have kind of forgotten about them now that they lost like 3, like key contributors on offense. And yet they still have Tom Brady, the GOAT. And, the fact that, they're still the defending champs. And now you got the Rams that are starting to click a little bit better, right? They're starting to figure out their identity, right? Oh, maybe we should start giving the ball to Sony Michel. Maybe we should start just dinking and dunking instead of having Matt, Stafford throw way deep, even though he still throws picks. And then you look at the Cardinals, who really, I don't know what's going on over there in Arizona, but if they're going to figure something out, maybe they can figure something out this weekend when they play Dallas. But my biggest concern is knowing that these guys the people that are winning, the teams that are winning have figured out something in their team that they're going to kind of carry themselves into the playoffs, right? Or carry themselves the last stretch of the season. Whereas the Packers, we've seen this for the last month, whether it's if you want to call it the Bears game or maybe right before the bye week, just the defense is starting to figure, I don't know, it's kind of taking a step back and, starting to show a lot of those, Achilles heels that we've seen in previous years, right? The run game where we're just gashed for 200 some yards, where if the Browns just would have ran the ball, we'll talk about that, could have probably beaten us. And you already had the issues with special teams, which is kind of shockingly hasn't, turned its head in a week or two, but
it's
still,
in the weeds. It's waiting in the weeds.
Yeah, exactly. Mason Crosby has
like a
been
sniper
fine.
with a ghillie suit on.
But I just want to throw this at you, Fred, is while teams are starting to trend upwards and trend the right way, I feel like there's like a lot of uncertainty in the sense of that we can't close games. We can't figure things out on offense for an entire half. Like we scored 3 points in the second half of that game. I don't understand what happened there. And then defensively, yes, the 4 picks, and we'll talk about this, but the defense, it's all about splash plays, I feel like, where something has to happen and we're waiting for that thing to happen. And then that's how we win the game. That's what's decided. Instead of just playing hard-nosed football where we're just a better team, where we saw that in the beginning of the year, where we just felt like we were more physical, we had more grit, we just didn't want to get punched in the mouth first. Like we were the ones, initiating the punch. But Fred, is there any cause for concern? I know you're never concerned about anything, but in the end, I have this concern, but your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I get it, man. Like I get where you're coming from. I would say that, to comment on your splash plays thing, I agree. Like you'd love to have a solid play in, play out, great defense. The truth of the matter is that sometimes that's just good enough. I don't know if you can be super great all the time defensively when it comes to the NFL today. The Browns, albeit the Browns still are a legitimately decent team offensively with a lot of decent weapons in Chubb. Baker Mayfield can play good football. Obviously, there's some issues there with the receiver, and I would say Jarvis Landry's good, but we haven't seen him there. But I just think it's like if we were to do this against, say, Washington and Taylor Heineke, like a la what Dallas just didn't do, then I would be a little bit more concerned. But I think like Browns still have some talent. Well, that's
barely
the thing.
squeaked that one out.
So yeah, so there is the concern to a degree about that, but I just feel like this team is winning, right? And we're still getting the W's when it needs to matter. And I'm going to go back to that, and it's probably more cliche than anything, but when you're turning the ball over, you're making those big plays when it matters. It seems to always give us a momentum switch. We seem to usually capitalize on it. I would say the Browns game was not a good example, but we seem to make those plays when those plays are needed. And I don't know how good I feel about that going into the playoffs, because I don't know if we can rely solely on that. I think we need to find some better consistency, but we've seen games this year where we've been super consistent defensively, and we've seen games where we've needed big turnovers, and then we've seen games where we've just been kind of shitty all around.
But that's the concern I'm talking about. Like
100%, which is why
let me throw a stat. Let me throw one stat. Stat. Point differential. We were like minus 52 or so. Yeah, there we go. Plus 16 in turnover, but that's
what I wanted.
We've had 3 games where we had, I think we're like minus 52 in the point differential or plus, however you look at that. But based on the Bears games and the Lions games where we, blew out an opponent, otherwise everything else that we've played in all of our games have been close. And it's come to needing an interception, needing Aaron Rodgers to come back 36 seconds down. Things like, go ahead.
Let me ask you this question, because you're right. There's no arguing that our defense has not played a solid whole game. And I'll let Matt jump in on this because I know he'll have something to say about it. But I would argue that both the defense and even a little bit more of the offense, there's no consistency. I would put just as much blame on the offense. Being able to come out when these turnovers happen to make the plays, or when we start with the ball. I know we always talk about starting quick or starting at half. I mean, there's been a lot of times
we don't score in the first quarter anymore. I don't.
Right, we don't score in the first quarter. So. When we don't receive the ball half the time anymore. Now we're always, I'm sorry, we do receive the ball and we're not getting it. I just feel like on both ends, right? It's good enough to get by, but it's not where it should be. And I know Matt has something to say about the offense, but that's where I would say, like, I don't know if I'd put the full blame on that defense. I think there's some issues offensively, and if they could both tweak it a little bit and kind of figure that out, they're dangerous, because they're winning games and they're playing at like 30%. So it's like, where can we get if we get to 50, 60, 70%?
Go ahead, Matt.
Well, you guys know me. I've been very vocal about the last 2 years that this is purely about a Super Bowl. I really don't care. I don't care about the regular season inherently matters, right? You have to play well in the regular season to get in the playoffs. I get it. Okay. But this team, we're not talking about the Packers like we talk about the Browns, where it's like, wow, they just got to win these games to get in the playoffs. This team, you have to raise the bar in what you expect from them. This is a Super Bowl caliber team, and I'm not here for moral wins in the regular season. This is purely about what you're going to do in the NFC Championship game against Tom Brady or whoever. That is what this is about. It's never been about anything else. And so my problem here is that it's hard for me to sit here and complain about a 12-win football team. But when you look at it through the lens of, can they get to the Super Bowl? Yes, they absolutely can. They have the guys to do it. But are they going to do it? Right now, can you point to on the team other than grinding out the wins? Like, they're doing this really well. They're doing this
talk
great.
About it. What happened in 2010? What happened in 2010? We went on a stretch from when we needed to get in, right? I hate putting up 2010, but this is the
I know, I was just going to say, don't be that guy that talks.
But no. But hang on, though. For a lot of teams like Tampa Bay, fine. Forget it. Forget us. Tampa Bay last year, right? What did they squeak in as a 4 seed, right? And then it's about how you're getting hot at a certain time. Do you feel confident going into do you feel confident which offense you're going to get on a Sunday or what defense you're going to get? Every time we're sitting there in our chat saying, well, we always talk about it when they're like, well, this is the defense we're going to get.
Everyone wants to dismiss the Cowboys' last game last night. Well, it was Taylor Heineke. It was a shitty ass Washington football team. Yeah, but they kicked the shit out of them.
That's what I'm
beat them
saying.
by a
You haven't
billion
kicked
points.
the shit out of anybody.
The Packers haven't done that once the
Other
whole
than
year.
maybe Seattle,
and when they were in the process of doing it, they gave up all the points and had to make a first down or a line of turnover to win the game. That's the problem. You had 4 turnovers and 5 sacks on Baker Mayfield, and you won by 2 points. 2 points. If you don't get one of those interceptions, you can make the argument that you lose the game. Same thing for the Ravens last week. There's a few things about this football team that make me nervous going into the playoffs that I can't sit here and confidently say they're going to be able to just flip a switch and do it.
But you just said that you don't know what happened.
It's totally
That's
unacceptable.
exactly. You literally started off the whole conversation saying you don't care about what happens in the regular season.
But you just said you cared.
So let's review it. Let's review it after week 2.
Oh, but I clarified that.
And Dallas isn't as there.
I clarified that. I said
because Dallas can beat Washington by 40 all day, but they still don't have a fucking playoff win in the last. So I'll take that. I'll take my playoff wins. And even though we're not in the Super Bowl, which is tough, I'll still take those all day. I don't give a shit if I beat Washington by 40.
This offense is pitiful in the first quarter. They're not good. True. And they're getting off to slow
pitiful
start.
in the second half, apparently now.
Well, that's the problem. Pitiful. And I vehemently believe the Packers are the best team in the conference. I vehemently believe that they're the odds-on favorites to go to the Super Bowl. But I'm not going to sit here and say, well, there's a few things that make me nervous, because there are. And when it's crunch time and you need to score points, you can't let off the gas. Multiple players said it yesterday. We just stopped going for it.
What's the difference between Washington football team? Okay, I know what you're going to say when I say this, but what is honestly the difference between what you saw with Washington football team and our, let's just say, offensive line? Okay, I know Yash and Dennis Kelly are, doing, a lot of great things. I saw Iowa Joe say Andrew said the next man up mentality has been really working well. Yeah, it has. But I think Aaron Rodgers has been, secretly masking a lot of issues. And I don't know, Randy Gregory, Marcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons, all that coming at you, regardless if you're Washington football team or if you're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or Green Bay Packers. I think that defense, that pass rush is still going to be coming at. I mean, what did we?
We've played a lot of really good pass rushers.
We've played really well against pass rushers, but Myles Garrett was like 60%, 45, 50. I don't even know. I mean, he wasn't 100% healthy.
But you got to go back to some of the. I mean, we played against the Rams. We completely dominated a Rams defense. We completely dominated a San Francisco front seven.
We had Elton that day, but we didn't have it.
100%. No, I agree. We're not better than we were then, health wise. I agree with that. But I would say that we've gone against a lot of really good ones, and I feel like we've done pretty well. Now, that's not discrediting Chicago, Dallas. And I'm not discrediting Dallas's win last night because they looked fantastic. Believe me, I've been missing that offense since 2015. I wish the Packers would run that shit the same way that Dallas did last night. It was fantastic. But I still am always going to hang my hat on the fact of when the shit matters, right? When we get to the playoffs, are we gonna still?
We've been doing
maybe
that for
not.
a decade.
But that's what I'm saying. We've been doing it, but we haven't gotten to the Super Bowl for over a decade.
Exactly.
Right.
And we
100%.
We make the same argument. We'll get to the playoffs.
Jason Garrett, Dallas.
No,
it isn't.
I agree. I think Dallas is much tougher than they've ever been, but Dallas is much tougher than they've ever been.
Right. They're younger. They're faster. They're more depth. I think they have more depth than us.
I'll also hang my hat on Aaron Rodgers, and I'm going to give it that.
Right.
What else are we going to do? I mean, we can sit here and fight each other until we're blue in the face.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
All I'm saying is I just think that, I guess when it comes to it, I mean, we can't control anymore. We can't stress anymore about it. All we have to hope is that our fucking team decides to play really good football on that day. And that's basically, I'm serious though. I don't know. I mean, we've gone against teams we should lose against and we've won. We've gone against teams we should win against and we lose. That's just fucking football.
No, I like when we gang up on Matt though, because this guy just likes to, skate when he's
I agree. Listen, I ultimately agree.
It's not just getting to the NFC Championship. What if we don't get there? What if we lose in the first round?
Absolutely.
You're just thinking we're in for the NFC.
We're all saying that. We're all saying that. We're all acting like NFC Championship.
I'm not I'm talking about the division. I'm talking a wild card, any playoff game. The stakes are raised, and the Packers absolutely take everybody's best shot, definitely in the playoffs. What I would like to see in these late game situations when we're losing leads, and I still will never understand why any defense, how you can play lockdown defense the whole game, and in the last 10 minutes, just pull it off and let everybody throw all over you. Oh, we don't want to give up the deep pass, but we'll give up 10 plays that go 8 yards and they score anyways. What's the difference?
What's the difference between 80-yard drive in comparison to like, okay,
absolutely. And the other thing is, it's like, put the ball in Aaron Rodgers' hands. Stop with the stupid end arounds, the ESB. Stop with that stuff. The run blocking has been suspect. If it's rolling all game, fine. If it's not, put the ball in the soon-to-be 4-time MVP's hands and let him win the damn game for you.
You just have to stop the screens. The wide receiver screens, thinking that those are going to
stop it.
The tight end to Josiah DeGuara one, that one still irks me, because that you could have literally done the same thing with AJ Dillon and just run it with him, and he'd at least get you, because what is he at?
Yeah.
I hope Strauss can get this for us. I think he averages 5.1 yards a carry. I think he's pretty damn good, and yet you just seem to think that these screens are just amazing. But Fred,
I'm sick of these 24-12, and then you end up winning the game 24-22. You're up 38-17. You end up winning the game 38-20. Come on, go for the throw.
That's
what
not
are you
just
doing
on the defense. Exactly. What do we feel bad for the team? We're like, oh well, let's just ease up. Let's get them.
We don't want
at
any
least
bulletin board material.
Yeah,
no, embarrass them. Rub their nose in it.
Yeah. Anyway, Fred, let's move on to the game. Actually, before we do that, because we got to hit up our sponsor here, real quick. As you know, the Freezer Podcast and our Tech Ventures are together in unison. So check out what we have for our Tech Ventures.
The Freezer Podcast is brought to you by our Tech Ventures. The goal at our Tech Ventures is to collaborate closely with founders throughout all the investment and fundraising stages, turning their visions into successful companies. Since 2020, our Tech Ventures has helped turn great ideas into profitable businesses that make an impact on industries, communities, and beyond. Our Tech Ventures.
I love that. That's
all right. First of all, hold on. Let me just say something as we come out of this, because that video was supposed to be a little bit later, because I thought, as Packer fans, that maybe we would talk a little bit about this thing happening.
I was just going to get to that. I just was going to get to that. Can we just let me, conduct the show? I'm conducting the show here, That's all I'm doing.
No, I'm just conducting the bullshit. Conduct the bullshit.
Matt had to throw a hot take, and so I had to just,
well, you guys,
I had to push him down a little bit.
We're sitting here fighting about stuff, and all I'm thinking is,
Matty Ice.
Guy just broke a record.
All right. Let's talk about the the Browns. Let's talk about what happened immediately, which is kind of nice, because then you don't have to worry.
I thought we were talking about the record.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Can you just let me do this? I'm doing it.
Let me just.
The guy got 443 touchdowns. Okay, he hit it. He got the one. He got Alan Lazard.
I'm taking control. I'm gonna mute him in 2 seconds. Here's the deal. First off and foremost, Aaron Rodgers breaks this record, and let me just give a huge shout out to Pansky, because this graphic is arguably one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. The guy is an absolute genius. Packer World has such great graphic designers in it, whether it's Packer Page, Pansky, Packer Edits. They're so great, and they don't get enough love, and I love them, because
guy went under a cave for a while and he came back.
He did. He reached out to me and he goes, sorry, man, I've been gone. And I go, don't worry, I've only been waiting at your doorstep for the last
where the hell have you been?
Where the hell have you been? So super happy for him to be back. Guy just fucking bangers, dude, all the time. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal what he does. Super excited. And going into the record, I don't think, we're going to talk about it, but I just for good time's sake.
Throws right side. Lazard diving, pylon, touchdown, and there it is, number 443, the historic milestone in an iconic career for a legendary franchise. Aaron Rodgers, the most prolific touchdown passer in Green Bay Packers history.
The numbers are the numbers, and they'll continue to grow. But outside of those numbers, Aaron Rodgers is the best player I've ever seen. Not the best Packer player, the best NFL player I've ever seen. Remarkable.
And we're shut down.
No, we're good. We're totally good. I already talked to the Packers about it.
Shut down.
I already talked to him about it.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful, though.
Let me pose this. All right, so here we go. Guy breaks the record. Brett comes on. I don't need that. I don't need.
Yeah, you did. Just shut up and talk.
Soapbox.
I don't need all that. Seriously, so ridiculous. So anyway,
you want this moment? Just have the moment.
No, I don't. No, I don't. I just want to
This is
talk
what
about
you're
it. I just want to say everything before you guys say everything. So Brett comes on. Obviously, makes his classic Brett one-liner remark. Go get the Super Bowl. We all hear it. Whatever. I just want to ask your simple opinion on this, and Matt, more so directed to you because we've discussed many a time the absolute legendness of number 4 and how much he's changed our love for the game, brought our love back. Will it, or I shouldn't say will it, has 12 or will 12 ever really be able to take that reign as your all-time favorite Green Bay Packer? And do you think, besides just being your own personal favorites, guys, is Aaron Rodgers the greatest NFL football player you've ever seen in your entire life?
Fuck yes and fuck
subjectively.
No.
I don't think. I didn't.
Okay, first of all,
answer
for the Favre comment, like Brett Favre is why I love football. Like Brett Favre's why I love the game of football. He made me love it. Like I think they're two different players because Brett Favre, and not to say Aaron Rodgers isn't like this, but like he just loved the game so much. He didn't really care about the X's and O's. Literally, he didn't know what a nickel and dime defense was for a few years. He just played out of passion, right? And it made him great and it made him frustrating to watch. But that said, I think Aaron Rodgers is definitely the most talented NFL player I've ever seen. I think he's the most talented quarterback I've ever seen. I would put his highlight reel up against anybody's and dare you to say the other guy is better. I mean, Tom Brady is kind of the consensus, GOAT for a lot of people, but seriously, go watch his throws and his career highlight tape and compare it to Aaron Rodgers. And other than the rings, it's like Aaron Rodgers, man, is another level. We've never seen anything like it. Maybe Patrick Mahomes one day can get there, but Favre's like my love, like my first love of football. But Aaron Rodgers definitely, to me, I think is the greatest Packer and the best player I've seen play.
Legit.
First off, I was born in '88, so I fucking was there too. All right, let's get this shit out of the mat. Is some obsession with Brett Favre? I was there too. Okay, I was there, literally as you were too. So get out of here with that.
Okay, man.
So,
Jesus.
I've seen both of them, and I've seen a lot of as far as what Matt just said, as far as throwing the goddamn ball. No, I don't need this either.
Okay,
get out of here with it. I don't need that. But it was, I get it. I get what Matt's saying. The love of the game, I get it.
Yeah.
It was a different time in the 90s because you didn't see this happy go free. Like the social media is really what brings out the best and the worst of players now in this day, right? You see all this stuff and we know too much about these players, right? Like back in the day, we didn't know anything really about Favre until we started seeing, pictures. But we didn't know anything about this guy other than, his one bad, mishap with, the drugs and stuff. But we just saw this guy that just loved having fun on the field. And we just thought that's what football was. Why can't I do that on the field? That's why I want to play football. Right now it's there's concussions. I mean, not saying there wasn't concussions before, but now people are just about money. They just showboat.
The game's changed.
And then it's about the money. And the media's really changed the face of the game, right? Yeah, it's still the most entertaining sport, but back then it was really the love of the game. And you're right, Matt. That's probably why he's high up there. And for me with Favre, it was kind of there was so much good, right? But then there was some bad in there. And I just don't see the bad from Rodgers really that much. I mean, there's been a couple, weird, seasons, and there's been obviously the last one with McCarthy was obviously a rough one, but when have we really ever seen a bad Rodgers? We've never seen that. With Favre, it was a heart attack all the time with the interceptions and, obviously the touchdowns, but it just never seemed like it was a consistent, all right, I know we're going to win this game. Didn't think that with Brett Favre. We had some great defenses for a long time with Favre, and they masked a lot of things that he did, getting him the ball back, so anyway, go ahead, Matt.
Here's my difference between the two. Both quarterbacks, Rodgers and Favre, every game you went into, you knew you had a chance because you had 12 or 4. The difference is when you think about the two, we thought about Favre, you could definitely lose the game because of him, because of some errant passes.
Yeah.
You never think that about Aaron Rodgers. There's a reason why when he throws an interception, it takes your breath away. You're like, wait, what? It's like you saw a unicorn, you saw an alien or something, and that doesn't happen. His touchdown to interception ratio, frankly, I don't think will ever be broken. I don't know how that'll ever be touched. I don't know how. Was it 96 interceptions? And then you look between Favre and he had almost
93.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's kind of like Favre's consecutive start streak will never be broken by another quarterback.
You can't take the love of what they did, right? Like the love of Favre will never be taken away. But you cannot, with your own actual eyes, I don't care if you're the biggest Viking fan and you hate our guts and you laugh when he gets his collarbone injury, you still can't knowingly with your hand on the Bible say that you could not see a better player in the NFL than Aaron Rodgers. Or, I mean, okay, obviously, maybe you could, maybe.
No, but it's true because I say it all the time.
I mean,
I can't stand Tom Brady on almost every level, but I sure as hell respect him. It goes straight to like I always think of Anchorman, right? Where he's like, I'm Burgundy, God damn it, I hate you, but I sure do respect you. Like that's literally how I feel about him. It's how I feel about like it's same to the Vikings fans. It's the same thing I feel about Randy Moss, right? Like I can't stand Randy Moss, but I don't think there's ever been a better receiver.
Right.
And I'll argue people with that on Jerry Rice because I truly do believe that he was just more gifted ultimately. But I mean, that's just part of the game. I just think that they're two different people in two different genres and for two different reasons. And I think, like you said, Matt, I mean, Brett Favre was like your uncle, right? Like you would watch him on Sundays and you're like, man, I'd go out, after Christmas and he'd start chucking bombs. I mean, you just assumed any guy on the street could do it. You looked at him and you thought there's nothing special about this guy, right? He's not 6'4", he's not, chiseled jawline. He had braces for half the time. He was a drunk. He took pain pills. I mean, it was basically anyone else from Wisconsin. And it just felt I
think that's why we loved him, because he felt like he was one of us. The dude would go hunting before games,
And it's why there's such a disconnect with Aaron Rodgers is because the only time I ever hear people bitch, like old school Wisconsin supper club people bitch about Aaron Rodgers, is all they ever say is he's some LA diva.
Man.
Go surf. And it's like that's all you got.
GAY for so many years because they're
right. It's like that's all.
Bluesy. Yeah.
It's such a like crappy take because it's like wow, you literally just regionalized
that redneck mentality, man.
Yeah.
Brett played an era where you could crush people. Brett played an era where you could just lay out a quarterback a good 2 seconds after he threw the ball. I mean, so you had a different type of respect for his game because it took a lot to go out there and do what he did. And then you look at Aaron Rodgers and how lethal he is with his arm. I mean, really, Packer fans, did you really think when Favre retired you'd ever be sitting here 15, 16 years later talking about Aaron Rodgers breaking the touchdown record, winning his 4th MVP? I mean, there's nobody. I mean, it's really remarkable what we've witnessed here in this town. I mean, we're all spoiled. I don't know how else to put it, but just so cool to be a part of and witness of it. I mean, I'm so thankful.
Speaking of what Kyle just said there. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
I was just gonna say, check out this Madden documentary that's going to be happening. I think it either started right now or it's about to start. But his love and affection towards Brett Favre is one of the coolest things in sports history, because this guy even made one of the greatest human beings of this sport, John Madden, fall in love with him, where this guy's from Kiln, Mississippi, some weird, gunslinging kid that had no right being even in a jersey, probably because he was just so wild and everything, and changed the way we look at the quarterback position for the longest time. So that's really cool. I like what he said.
That's a really good point, man, because Madden is like kind of royalty god in the NFL world. I mean, you talk about like guys like Vince Lombardi, Hallis. I mean, Madden's up there, not necessarily just because of his coaching career, but like just because of everything he's obviously done, the commentating, and then of course his game. But I mean, I got to meet John Madden, I think 3 separate times, and like larger than life.
What?
Yeah, so larger than life type character. I mean, literally to the absolute degree of exactly what I'm saying. I mean, larger than life. He was a big dude, loud, commanded a room, always happy. It's just a special person. So like the fact that he, of all people, was able to that's who he chose. Like, that's who he chose to be the guy that he was going to love. And all the Aikmans and Marinos and Youngs and Jerry Rices and Barry Sanders and everyone that played in that era, which, gosh, there's so many great ones. And I apologize for the ones I probably just missed. But that's who Madden was like, nah, this is the guy I'm going to fuck with. Like, I want to hang out with this guy. Like, that's
before I ask you to join our podcast, before I even ask you to hold my son, like, you don't seem to think to, like, say, hey, I've met John Madden before. Like, do you realize where that, like, gap in our friendship has just begun? Like,
it's a pretty big gap. It's a pretty big gap.
That's something you first tell on a date.
It's one of those things. I guess it's probably a pretty big deal. I guess like it's one of those things that, like, when I grew up and like in the world that I grew up in, like, there's so many of those situations that I kind of just took advantage of. It's crazy.
Could you see Fred walk up to Sanjay? Hey, I'm Fred Thurston. I've met John Madden.
Yeah, that too.
Times.
Like, how's that?
I should be friends.
I would have hugged him. Yeah. I would have had a little bit of tears. I would have kissed his ring and I'd hug him.
So weird. It's not my style, man.
Hey, I'll tell.
I like dropping it. Like,
I'll tell it at the end of the
later.
Yeah, I know. I mean, my jaw literally just dropped.
Hey, you don't want to give away all the secrets, by the way, Fred.
I will say that one of the times I was bussing tables at Outback Steakhouse, and his
bus tables.
Well, wait, that's like literally my first ever job.
All right.
And this was back when he had the big Madden Cruiser that was like sponsored by Outback, and so of course he came
because he wouldn't
and
fly.
Parked it in front of Outback, and I was like, let me go see old John Boy out there, and and
there he was.
Yeah,
that's all. Hey, this is why we have royalty on this show. You know,
it's not really that.
All right. It's 7:41. All right, so we got the Browns that we just played, and I know we've kind of just talked about. We've kind of like already.
We just talked about
what we saw on Saturday and just kind of like let it all out in like a therapy session there. We talked about the record. That's awesome. Let's talk about one real quick record that we need to just shout out because we got another superstar and his name's 17. All right.
Yes.
And this guy is just. It would be really sad to know if this is his last season in Green Bay, but like it was Sterling Sharp. It was Sterling Sharp, right? That's the guy that we all just kind of put in this Packer wide receiver royalty. You know, yeah, there was guys that wanted to like sneak in and try to be like a question, like, oh, is Antonio Freeman? Is Jordy Nelson? I mean, these guys were good. They were good. But like Devontae, man, he's a bad mother. Shut your mouth. Like he is, and it pains me to say this because Sterling Sharp will still be the guy that I think needs to be in Canton. But Devontae is got a gold jacket coming his way. I'm just gonna say that right now.
If he stays here and Rodgers does, you might be right. But he's got to see. If he goes for higher, greener pastures and money, and it's not with 12, then Jets. I don't know. Then he's gonna go the Greg Jennings route, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting, and we'll obviously, we'll have a very long offseason talking about all of that, I'm sure. Because it does feel like there's a lot of potential for them not to be here when you start looking at cap space and things like that. But I'm gonna leave that to the general managers. But here's the thing. I'm super glad that you brought that up because I feel like everything has been so focused on 12 and his incredibleness. And in the background, because it's like coincided with those records, Devontae Adams is over here just setting up records as well. Yeah. And the dude is absolutely incredible. And he's about to come up on this record with James Lofton, which I think is absolutely insane.
That's a nuts one, even for Lofton.
So like there's a lot going on right now. Devontae Adams is on a record-setting year with touchdowns, 100-yard receiving, like all that stuff. So there's a lot there to be said. Doesn't help our case.
That's what the agent's gonna be like. Let me drop the list of things that he just broke.
Yeah. But I want to give it shout out here because his agent ain't gonna pay attention to this shit. So
sans a couple of extra Super Bowl victories for us. I mean, we are really living in the golden age of Packer football outside of the 60s. Yep. I mean, think about the guys, the all-time greats, franchise greats that have come through and we've watched over the last 20, 30 years. I mean, there's several of them. And just even on the current team, Rodgers and Adams. I mean, we're watching the best of the best week in and week out. And I don't even know how to put it into words anymore. I mean, sometimes I think I even take it for granted. Like I go into these games and we're going to look back on this time period in 20, 30 years ago. Damn, like we had it so good.
I can't wait till we can say I got to watch Devontae Adams.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I watched
no
Brett
one's gonna
Favre
remember 2013 and his bad year.
Well, it's crazy. It's crazy because it's hard enough to get a number one receiver. It's even harder to get a number one quarterback, and then you have them both in the same team. I mean, you look at some of the greats over the past 10 years, right? Some of the best receivers, some of the best quarterbacks. Rarely, if ever, are they both on the same team. And we've had it now for a few years, and we're seeing it just absolutely come to fruition, which will be even more of a serrated edge of that knife if I have to pull it out of my heart at some point this year, if we don't win a Super Bowl, because I will be so effing devastated.
I was gutted last year, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do this year.
If that goes down this year, it will be the ultimate gut. I will have to probably take a sabbatical and take
He's gonna be a Colts fan or something. Jordan Fuzzy.
But I might bounce out, dude. I might have to
He's gonna be like the Mayflower and start shipping his family down to Florida.
Just hitchhike around the country.
I'm just
ready. All right. So when we come back, we'll hit you guys up with we'll talk about what's coming up, and that is the dumb Vikings. So
Viking week.
Don't go anywhere, guys. This is the Freezer Podcast.
What is happening, everybody? I hope you had a great Christmas. If that's something you celebrate, I hope you enjoyed the Packers win over the Browns as much as we did, which we're hoping happened. Be sure to check us out on Wednesday night as we go over all of that and then discuss the ass kicking that the Vikings are about to get at the hands of the Packers. Dan, tell the people where they can find that show.
They can find us on the YouTube channel, Game On Wisconsin, on Twitter at Game On WI, and just everywhere good podcasts are sold.
Jimmy, say something smart.
I'm Jimmy.
Nailed it. Great job. We'll see you guys Wednesday night.
Those guys, man.
That was just as funny as Matt's tweet the other night.
Which one?
At 3 p.m., someone's already got their tree.
I went to go to the gas station, and their Christmas tree was already on the curb. I'm like, well, that guy could not wait for Christmas. I bet it was out there earlier. I didn't notice it.
I was at a party. I just died for like.
You woke up and threw it out.
Because I wish I could have been like just standing next to you, walking out to your car.
I stopped and looked, and I'm like, Jesus, this Holly's barely even over. The decorations are back in the box.
Get this crap out of here. We're Christmas is dead now. All right. Viking week. It is Vikings week. Obviously a nail biter in Minnesota at US Bank Stadium. But we somehow had a chance. We had an interception that was taken away. That basically could have sealed the game for us. But Skull, yeah, you can't say Skull without LOL because you always got to laugh. But we have them coming into our house Sunday night, prime time here in Lambeau. And I'm not going to this game because it's going to be damn cold. But it's just, Jensen's going. All right,
I'll be there.
Great.
I'll be there.
Hey, he had to get back. He was just like, I can't not go to one game.
You got to redeem myself in the Seattle game.
It was. He didn't even see half the game. Fred saw the game.
What was the score of that game? I forgot.
I don't remember.
We got Viking week. It's going to be a question mark. Do we get Dalvin Cook in this game? I know he's basically going to be like eligible. I think when he gets like the night before. I think Adam Thielen looked pretty banged up in that game. He did come back into the game and still played. So I'm assuming he'll probably practice up and be there for Sunday night. But big game in all honesty, in the sense of just like, hey, we got to take care of business because we need to keep these Cowboys off our butts and keep this number one seed still in our, front, view here. And Fred, the Vikings, it's an interesting, because like at this point, I know they're fighting for that 7 seed. They're out of it now because of the loss, but what do you want to see this Vikings team in the playoffs? Because in the sense of like, okay, I'm not trying to like show support to the Vikings. I'm really not. But in the sense of that, hey, that's a familiar opponent. Maybe they could go shock, a Tampa or Dallas or Rams team, whoever it may be, and then that's our first opponent, to get us into the NFC champion. Do you think about that kind of stuff, especially knowing that this is like, what are your bottom feeders for the playoffs that's trying to get in? But I'm not saying that I want to lose so they can get in kind of thing. I would never say that. But do you sort of, think about that with this team now with their, life's on the line, I guess?
No. No, I don't.
Okay,
That's
plain and
fucking
simple,
weird,
yeah.
dude. I will say
had
this.
to pose the
I think anybody that gets into the playoffs is a dangerous team, and I think any one
Right.
of them can go out and beat anybody and shock anybody. I mean, to go back to 2010, I mean, we did it. We've seen it every year. We've seen teams kind of not limp in, but kind of sneak in, right? Start playing better towards the end of the year, get that last seed, and come in playing hotter than hot. I sure as hell would never. I mean, it feels like the last few years we've had a couple of Viking appearances in playoffs, and it scares the shit out of me because I'm like, man, if we do play them, beating a team 3 times a year is a really difficult situation. So I don't really even want them in there. I'm good with them just fucking off
right.
and going and playing, outdoor
Hey.
hockey. What?
We've lost 2 in a row to the Vikings. I don't want them in the playoffs. We lost. Go back to last year. They beat us at Lambeau.
I
and then we
know.
played them
Well,
the
I
first
know.
time.
Well,
We
let's
beat them
just
this
see what
year. I'm
happens.
with you,
Well,
Fred.
let's just see what happens on Sunday. Let's not get. I don't want to lose 3 times in a row. 'Cause
We
I don't
didn't
really
lose
No.
a home game last year.
We beat them in their house, and then they beat us here.
And
Didn't
then
they?
they beat us. Then we beat them. They beat us.
Oh,
this
the
year.
last game was
2 over
on the
last
road.
few
You're
years.
right. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Okay, I thought you
So-
meant in Lambeau. Like what? We went.
So yeah, so I don't. I don't want them. I am not trying too hard to look ahead of what's ahead of us in this near future. But yeah, you have to start kind of keeping you have to start going Matt Ramage on it and keep one eye on the playoffs and one eye on your opponent this week. So
That's solid. I'm with you, Fred. I mean, I think the Packers have to look at this opportunity to knock their division rivals out of the playoffs. Essentially, I mean, go ahead and get them out. You don't want them to sneak in there because they're a common opponent. They know how to play. They know how to play. You broke Sanjay. You did not see that.
got him. Got him.
Got him.
Can't even do it.
No, but I mean, you got him in your house. You got him in the cold. You got him on Sunday Night Football. Whole country's watching. No time like the present to smoke these fools and send them packing. I mean, Justin Jefferson said, they walked in the locker room before the last, the game the other day and said they had no juice, but they're going to bring the juice for this game. So if they're ever going to have a first quarter here in the regular season where they just turn the afterburners on, please be this one. And just suck the wind out of them immediately. And let's just have a fun 3 quarters and we kick them out of the playoffs.
I'm not asking for 35 points like the Cowboys did in the first half. I mean, I'm just saying give me at least a touchdown in the first quarter, maybe even the first drive. I don't know.
Something.
Set
Because if you
the
give them a
tone.
sign of life, then you never know.
That's my theme today is set the tone on all phases of the game, because this team right here who's trying to fight for the playoff berth is going to do whatever they can to get in, right? So that means so that means obviously
What the hell was that?
It's some stat. That's got to mean that you got to just set the tone early. Like as Aaron Rodgers, who understands that I would like to have a week before I play a game to rest my little toe. I would like to just come out on point with the offense, with the game plan. Hell, even just incorporate the guys that you should be incorporating all throughout the game, which is both running backs, and just shove it right down the throat, man. Just honestly, this is no time to get cute and try different things or save some. You know what? Just win the goddamn game. That's what I want. Win the first quarter, honestly, because you've shown no confidence in your fans that you can even score in the first quarter, as we keep speaking here. But Fred, do the Vikings actually on a scale of no, not even a scale. What's your percentage chance that they could actually come into this house and beat the Green Bay Packers in our house, which we are really, really good in? I think we've lost 2 games? In the last
Undefeated this year.
12%.
I
Just
see what
guys.
you did there.
Yeah,
I see
just
what you did there.
Yeah, because here's the thing: is they're dramatically better at home. They're home.
Yeah.
The Homodome, and we are way better here. Kirk Cousins is scared.
Who's that?
No Dalvin Cook.
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson is the only thing that I'm terrified of, and I don't see that being an issue because frankly, I think Stokes is going to take that matchup to the next level. I think he got burned a little bit last time, and he's pissed. And I also think that Minnesota is just the kind of team to be like, I'm not going to fucking try because we're not really in it anymore. That's how I see them as being.
I want Stokes to get revenge mostly because of stupid ass Paul Allen, his dumbass comments about how, I would love to see him snake a pick or something. That'd be great. But if they don't have Dalvin Cook and if they have like a 50% Adam Thielen, I love the Packers all over this game.
Hey, why don't you just take us into the predictions then? Go ahead.
Drop a
right into the. Okay, so this last game, I thought we're gonna win 42-10. I really felt like that was out there.
You too.
I still feel like it's there. Will it come out? I don't know. so
I'm gonna go up a little bit. I'm
gonna move it up here, 45-17. I just feel it's just there. We just need to do it. Just go do the thing. Go do the thing.
All right, I'm going to go big again because I do feel like this team, I feel like what we see on the field is just not a representation of who this team is. I know there's a ton of injuries. I know there's a lot of issues, but there's a reason that we come on the show every single Monday and wonder why are we not putting up more points, because we know we can score up more points. Now, on the flip side of that, to argue that, you'd also say, well, we come on the show every single week wondering why we're not scoring more points. So there's an issue there too. But I'm going to say that I feel more confident in the fact that we can get to that point than we're never going to get to that point. So I feel confident that we can get to these high scoring games. We can score in the first quarter, as opposed to, we're shit out of luck. We're never going to get there. So I'm just going to keep on wishing. I'm going to keep on praying. And I'm going to keep on guessing it's going to be 42-21.
There you go.
We're going to go double 40s. And I can't wait for Sanjay to throw out his last 40. Otherwise, I'm shutting him off.
What if I was going to pick us to lose by 40?
You ain't doing that. You ain't doing that.
I'm going to cut the feed.
I am a little nervous. How long is this lucky rabbit foot of next man up mentality going to bite us in the ass, and we're just going to notice that we just have a bunch of reserves out there and we're just getting outplayed by actual superstars? I don't know how long that's going to be. I'm not saying that I'm picking us to lose, because I'm not picking us to lose, because I don't do that anymore, unless it's the Chiefs. But I will say this. I will add myself to the 40 train. Because at this point, why not? I mean, you can just throw a number. So I'll say 40. Can't say what he said. 42. 42. You said 45. It's got to be an in between there, right? So I'll say 43. 43.
Finds a number to work for him.
Yeah, 43.
How do you get to 43?
Shut up, Matt.
Score got me.
43-17, and Jair Alexander comes back.
Well, kickoff temperature is supposed to be hovering right around 0 degrees, so we may all look like we may all look like fools with those 40s, as long as they win, right?
Yeah, I mean, this could be 10-7 for all we know. So, I mean, that's probably what it's going to be, because that's how we are. That's who the Green Bay Packers are. Close games, win it out, go on to the next one.
It's the brand this year.
Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in on another hourly fun show with us on a Monday before NFL football. And at this point, it's all trash games anyway, so just keep watching us, because we're not trash. But
sometimes.
Thank you so much for your ongoing support with our show, with us three. Definitely chat with us on Twitter. You see our handles here. Find all of our stuff on YouTube, at the Sweep Studios, even on Instagram and Facebook, where we have all of our awesome stuff at the Sweep Studios. Find us also here on Monday nights at Game On Wisconsin. Follow everything that's under the sun with Game On Wisconsin, with all the shows that we have all week. And understand that this is still the holiday season, so please be safe out there. Please enjoy your time with your families. Hopefully you guys had a Merry Christmas, and we won't see you until next year, I guess. So
that guy, there you go, nice job. See you next year.
Hey, with that being said, that's Matt, that's Fred. Go Pack, go!
Go Pack, go, baby.